Hello everyone. Welcome to Reading History number 24. Before I begin, I would like to show you this picture of my dad when he was little. I believe he would have been about 3 years old here, which means this would have been taken in 1928. When I was quite young, I used to insist it was a picture of myself. And I also remember my dad saying that he used to hate this picture when he was younger because he thought he looked like a girl. I also have some information to add from previous videos thanks to some of my family members who follow this channel. First, from my cousin Dr. Jim Ferrier, grandson of Alex, Ernest's younger brother. Now in regards to video number 22, Jim writes, "The ditch Grandpa and Lloyd dug in the swamp was between our back fields we called the flats. There's only a remnant there now, but I remember your dad telling about it when we were looking at draining our place." Secondly, when he talked about the threshing mill moving to the Hughes farm, that's the farm that we are living on that Grandpa Alex bought in the 40s. Interesting, they didn't help with threshing though. Not sure if they didn't get along or the Hughes just had their own crew. Jim also writes that John's father Abraham had an older brother Isaac, whose son, also Isaac, married a Warren. It was their 1-year-old daughter Kathleen that the funeral was for, their only daughter along with 4 sons. Abraham and Isaac married sisters Janet and Catherine Fisher. In the next generation, John married Alice Poole, and his sister Janet married Alfred Poole. Now this would be the Uncle Alfred that Ernest talks about. They must have been close since Alfred accompanied John and Alice to Toronto on their trip. My grandpa Alex was given the middle name Alfred. And the second update is from my cousin Jim Tizick. He is the son of Aunt Dorothea, who is my dad's younger sister. Now in video number 23, I had spoken of the Scotch Line Cemetery and of all the plots, and I wasn't sure if it was my grandfather Mervyn or great-grandfather John that had purchased them. And Jim updates stating that he remembers his mom saying that it was her father, which would be Grandpa Mervyn. "I think that site where your parents, Grandpa and Grandma, and Aunt Jean are buried has room for 10. My mother used to say that her father must have thought none of them would get married." And I had also asked where Uncle Ernest's wife might be buried. And Jim adds that I believe Aunt Jenny is buried in Montreal where she died. On FamilySearch.com, they simply mention her as Jenny McMillan with no dates. I believe Mom said she was from Scotland. Now on findagrave.com, I was able to locate a Jenny Adelaide Ferrier who died in 1973 and was buried in Montreal. Perhaps that is her. So I hope to look a little further into that in the near future. And again, if anyone has any further updates or information on anything that I mention in these videos, I'm always very, very happy to hear from you. And now I will begin. November 1st, 1906. Our 2 teams plowed in the swamp at home this forenoon, but this afternoon I went to the swamp on the Brash place and Lloyd plowed alone at home, but did not get quite done the field. Friday, November the 2nd. Lloyd got the last of the swamp at home plowed this forenoon. I think that we have the most ground plowed in the swamp there that we have had for a good many years. This afternoon both Lloyd and I plowed in the Brash swamp. This evening, Mr. and Mrs. John Allen were down to see us. Saturday, November the 3rd. Both Lloyd and I plowed in the swamp on the Brash place today. Father and Mother went to town this afternoon. Monday, November the 5th. We plowed with our 2 teams in the swamp on the Brash place today, and Father and Leslie cleaned out some of the ditch out of the swamp at home. Tuesday, November the 6th. I plowed with 3 horses on the sulky plow in the Brash swamp today, and Lloyd had the team. Father went to town this forenoon. Alice started out this afternoon to collect for the Bible Society. Considering the small number of families to go to, she had very good success as she got $6.63. This evening she went to town and intends to stay in to help Miss Annie Gow, who expects to move. Wednesday, November the 7th. Father went up to the mill with a grist this forenoon, and so I just had the team to plow with as Lloyd had the other team plowing too. This evening, Father went to town to attend a church meeting. Thursday, November the 8th. We plowed in the brash swamp today, Lloyd with the walking plow, and I with 3 horses on the sulky plow. Father and the other 2 boys getting some brush cut and burnt that was growing on a spot where we underbrushed a few years ago. Friday, November the 9th. We plowed in the swamp on the other place all of today, although this afternoon it was somewhat unpleasant, as the weather was wet and a mixture of rain and sleet fell a good deal of the day. Our cheese factory closed its season today. We have sent more milk this year than ever before, except last year. During the season, we milked on average 22 cows, and their milk for the summer amounted to 86,144 pounds. Saturday, November the 10th. Today was a dull, cloudy day, but no rain to speak of fell. Lloyd and I plowed with the 2 plows in the swamp on the other place. Sunday, November the 11th. Alice and Leslie stayed at home today while the rest of us went to church. Alice has not been very well since she was in town, and so she did not feel like going to church. Today was a damp sort of day, and tonight I think that we may have some snow before morning. Monday, November the 12th. We got no plowing done today as there was some snow fell last night, more today and tonight. It does not look very much like quitting yet. This forenoon we did some fixing up about the buildings, and this afternoon Father went to town. Tuesday, November the 13th. We did no farming today either, but this morning Father and Alec went up to Mr. McShane's for our young cattle, and were away most of the day. All of the other people on the line who had cattle up there went for them today also, as yesterday's fall of snow made more people want to have their cattle at home. We had 10 yearlings up, all of which came home a good deal bigger than when they went away, and in very good condition. Wednesday, November the 14th. Father made his first trip this fall to the creamery this morning. We just got our young cattle that were pasturing out at home to the buildings today. We are starting the winter with 24 cows, 12 calves, 10 yearlings, and 11 2-year-old cattle, so that our stock is not very small, and our pile of straw is not any bigger than we would like it to be. Today was a pretty busy day at Mr. Hogan's, as Sadie was married to J. Fred Consitt this morning. We have not heard many of the particulars yet, but understand that Louise Consitt was bridesmaid, and Johnny Hogan groomsman. We heard that they were to have gone on a trip, but I don't think it was true, as Harold saw them going up the road this evening. Thursday, November 15th. This forenoon, Father and the other boys killed a pig, and this afternoon we all went to the barn on the brash place where our young cattle are and cut the horns off 8 of them. And that is where I shall finish today. Thank you again for listening to Reading History with Great Uncle Ernest.